There's something I need to tell you, and it might be hard to hear at first. Right now, you're living inside a prison. But here's what makes this prison different. You didn't commit a crime to end up here. There are no guards, no physical walls you can see or touch. The prison of depression is invisible, and that's exactly what makes it so dangerous. When you can't see the walls, you start to believe this prison is just your life. That this heavy, suffocating feeling is just who you are. That the emptiness, the exhaustion, the complete inability to feel joy, that's just your personality now. But it's not. Depression isn't just a mood. It's not just sadness. It's actually more like an architect constructing a prison around you, using your own thoughts, behaviors, and interpretations as the building materials. The walls are made from beliefs about your worthlessness. The bars are forged from the things you've stopped doing, the activities you've abandoned, the people you've withdrawn from. And the atmosphere is thick with a fog of hopelessness. Most people don't realize they're in this prison until they've been living in it for months, sometimes years. They just know something feels wrong. Life feels heavy. Nothing brings pleasure anymore. Getting out of bed feels like climbing a mountain. If that's you right now, understand something crucial. This prison has a blueprint. It follows predictable patterns. And once you understand how it's built, you gain something incredibly powerful. You gain the ability to dismantle it. Depression built this prison, but you hold the keys to tear it down. The life you deserve, filled with meaning, connection, and moments that actually feel good, exists just beyond these walls. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to reclaim it. To escape the prison, we need to understand how it works. Depression isn't some random cloud of sadness. It's a self-sustaining system that locks your thoughts, behaviors, and emotions into a continuous loop. It starts with the negative lens. 3 core beliefs that distort everything you experience. First, you believe you're fundamentally flawed, broken, worthless. When you look in the mirror, you don't see someone having a hard time. You see a failure, a burden. Second, everything becomes evidence of how terrible life is. Your brain becomes a magnet for negative information. Someone doesn't text back, they hate you. You get 9 compliments and 1 criticism. Your brain focuses entirely on that 1 criticism for days. This is your brain getting hijacked by depression. It's like wearing glasses that filter out all the good and magnify everything bad. Third is the conviction that nothing will ever get better. This is hopelessness, the lie that keeps people stuck. These beliefs trigger behaviors, and those behaviors lock the prison doors. When you believe you're worthless, you withdraw. You stop trying. You avoid. You stop answering calls. You abandon hobbies. You stay in bed scrolling your phone. At first, withdrawal feels like relief, protection from a world that feels too painful. But here's the trap. When you withdraw, you cut yourself off from every source of positive experience. No social connection, no accomplishment, no pleasure. Your life becomes a void, and that void becomes proof your negative beliefs were right. See? Your mind says. Your life is empty, you are worthless, and the cycle locks tighter. This is what makes depression so insidious. Your thoughts drive your behaviors confirm your thoughts. Both drain your energy until you're living in a fog where everything feels impossible. You're not lazy, you're not weak, you're not choosing this. You're caught in a machine designed to keep you exactly where you are. Now we get to the part that changes everything. The first key to dismantling this prison is behavioral activation. Here's the core principle, and it's going to sound backwards. You don't wait to feel better to start doing things. You do things to start feeling better. Depression tells you that you need motivation first. That once you have energy, then you can start being active, seeing friends, pursuing interests. But that's the trap. As long as you're depressed, that motivation will never come. You're waiting for something that can't arrive while you're trapped in the cycle. Behavioral activation flips the script. Your behavior can lead your emotions. Action comes first. Feeling better comes second. Now I know what you're thinking. I can barely get out of bed. How am I supposed to just start doing things? That's why we do this strategically. This isn't about running a marathon. This is about small, deliberate, meaningful actions that rebuild the connection between you and your life. But we can't just pick random activities. When depression has stolen your ability to feel pleasure, you can't rely on what feels good. That system is offline. So instead we use your values. Values are different from goals. A goal is get a promotion or lose 20 pounds. That's a destination. A value is a direction. How you want to live, not what you want to achieve. Maybe you value connection, or creativity, or health, or learning. These are your compass. When motivation is gone, your values still tell you what direction to move in. Ask yourself, what matters to me deep down? Relationships, growth, contributing to something bigger? Those values guide every action from this point forward. Now comes the practical part. Start by monitoring what you're currently doing. Keep a simple log. Hour by hour, write down your activity and rate your mood from 0 to 10. Just observe. You'll notice certain activities tank your mood. Lying in bed scrolling? Probably a 2 or 3. But you'll also notice that even the smallest productive action slightly improved your mood. Taking a shower, walking to the mailbox, sending one text. That's evidence the system can be reversed. Now we schedule 2 types of activities. Activities for pleasure, small things that have any potential to feel slightly good. Listening to a song you used to love, sitting outside for 5 minutes. Will these feel amazing? Probably not at first, but they're better than nothing. Activities for mastery, things that give you a sense of accomplishment, no matter how tiny. Washing 3 dishes, folding 1 load of laundry, paying a single bill. These prove you're capable. Here's the critical rule. Start absurdly small. If your goal is exercise, don't schedule, go to the gym for an hour. Schedule, put on workout clothes. That's it. If you do nothing else, that counts as a win. Why? Because we're building momentum. Each small win makes the next action slightly easier. Break everything down until the first step feels almost too easy to fail. Then, do that easy thing. Tomorrow, do it again, until it becomes automatic. Then, add one more small thing. This is how you escape. Through tiny, strategic, value-driven actions that slowly rebuild your life. Action is powerful, but if we don't fix what's happening in your mind, negative thoughts will sabotage every step forward. This is where the second key comes in. Learning to become a detective of your own thinking. Depression makes you think in distorted ways. Your mind makes predictable errors in how it interprets reality, and these errors feel completely true, but they're not. All or nothing thinking. You see everything in extremes. One mistake, complete failure. Your day didn't go perfectly, total disaster. No middle ground, catastrophizing. Your brain jumps to the worst outcome. Your boss wants to talk, you're getting fired. One thing goes wrong, your mind spirals. Mind reading. You assume you know what people are thinking and it's always negative. Your friends seemed quiet, they're mad at you. Discounting the positive. Anything good gets dismissed. A compliment? They were just being nice. You accomplished something? It doesn't count. This is how depression blocks positive evidence. Emotional reasoning. You believe that because something feels true, it must be true. You feel worthless, so you are worthless. Your emotions become your reality. These distortions are the prison's blueprint. But once you can spot them, once you can say, oh, that's catastrophizing, something shifts. You create distance. These thoughts aren't facts. They're just patterns, habits, and habits can be changed. Here's a simple framework. Catch it, check it, change it. Catch it. When your mood drops, ask, what thought just went through my mind? Write it down. Check it. Put that thought on trial. What's the actual evidence for this? What's the evidence against it? If a friend had this thought, what would I say? Am I basing this on facts or emotions? Is there another way to look at this? Change it. Come up with a more balanced thought. Not fake positivity. Something more accurate, more fair. Example, I'm a complete failure. Catch it. Write it down. Check it. Evidence, I'm a failure? I messed up at work. Evidence against it? I've succeeded at things. Got through college, maintained relationships, solved a difficult problem last month. So maybe I'm not a complete failure. Maybe I'm a human who sometimes struggles. Change it. I've been struggling lately and made a mistake, but I've also done things well. One mistake doesn't erase everything. I'm having a hard time, not failing at life. This won't feel like magic, won't instantly make you feel amazing, but it takes the edge off. It opens a crack in the prison wall. Through that crack, light gets in. Do this enough times, and those cracks become gaps. Those gaps become openings. Eventually, the wall comes down. Now we get to the master key that makes everything else possible. Self-compassion. Right now, there's a voice in your head that never shuts up. It criticizes everything. Tells you you're not good enough, that you're failing, that other people don't struggle like this. This voice is vicious and relentless. Here's a question. If a friend came to you struggling with depression, feeling exactly how you feel, would you talk to them the way you talk to yourself? Would you say, you're pathetic. You should be over this. Everyone else can handle their life. Why can't you? Of course not. You'd never say that to someone you care about. You'd say, I'm so sorry you're going through this. This sounds incredibly hard. You're doing the best you can. So why is it acceptable to talk to yourself with such cruelty? Self-compassion isn't about letting yourself off the hook. It's about treating yourself like someone worth caring for, like someone who deserves support, especially when things are difficult. You cannot hate yourself into healing. That harsh inner voice isn't motivating you, it's keeping you stuck. When you're trying to do the hard work of challenging thoughts and facing discomfort, you need an internal environment that supports you, not one that tears you down. Self-compassion is that environment. How do you practice this? First, notice the double standard. Next time you're beating yourself up, pause. Ask, would I say this to a friend? If no, that's your signal to soften. Second, when you're overwhelmed, try this simple practice, a self-compassion break. Step 1. Acknowledge your suffering. Say, this is really hard right now, or this hurts. Step 2. Remind yourself you're not alone. Say, other people feel this way too. Suffering is part of being human. This breaks the isolation depression creates. Step 3. Offer yourself kindness. Say, may I be kind to myself? May I give myself what I need? Or ask, what do I need to hear right now? These words might feel awkward at first. You've spent so long being harsh that gentleness feels foreign, but stick with it. This creates the psychological safety you need to heal. There's also a physical component. Compassion isn't just mental, try this. Place your hand over your heart or cradle your face. Or give yourself a gentle hug. Feel that warmth, that gentle pressure. Notice how that simple touch can calm your nervous system. Or take a slow, deep breath. Count to 4 breathing in, count to 4 breathing out. Do this a few times. Let your face soften. Your body doesn't know the difference between receiving compassion from someone else and giving it to yourself. These simple acts signal to your brain, I'm safe, I'm cared for. This is how you build the foundation that makes everything else possible. Depression is powerful. It's designed to make you believe escape is impossible, that this is just who you are now, that the life you want is something other people get, but not you. That's the final lie. The truth is, the prison has a blueprint, and once you can see it, you can dismantle it. You break the behavioral chains through small, strategic, value-driven actions, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. You rewrite the cognitive blueprint by catching your distorted thoughts, examining them like a detective, and replacing them with something more balanced. And you do all of this from a foundation of self-compassion, because the work is hard, and you need to be on your own side. These aren't quick fixes. This is a set of tools, skills you practice, day by day. There will be setbacks, days where you slide backwards, moments where the prison walls feel just as solid. That's not failure, that's part of the process. You don't dismantle a prison all at once. You do it brick by brick, one small action, one challenged thought, one moment of self-kindness at a time. And eventually, you look around and realize the walls aren't as high as they used to be. The fog isn't as thick, you can see further ahead. And one day, not today, maybe not next week, but one day, you'll look around and realize you're standing outside, free, living the life that was always waiting for you, the life you've always deserved. If you're ready to start dismantling your prison, drop "I'm ready to start" in the comments below. Your words have power, and saying it out loud is the first brick removed from the wall. That's the first step to everything changing.